Hello, very nice to meet you. The Dog of Flanders / written by Wita. There is a town called Flanders in Belgium. It was a beautiful place. In that town, a boy named Nello lived with his grandfather. His grandfather delivered milk. One day, Nello and his grandfather saw something by the brook. Nello, what's that? Isn't that a dog? It was a big dog. The dog had blood all over its body, and had many cuts on its feet as well. The dog had been beaten and abandoned by its owner. Nello and his grandfather took the dog home. Nello gave the dog warm milk. He also put medicine on its wound. Bow wow. A few days later, the dog barked loudly. Nello named the dog Patrash. Patrash, let's go. Nello liked playing with Patrash. Grandfather was happy to see them play. Grandfather, look at this, Nello said. Patrash was standing in front of the milk cart. Patrash, I can't let you deliver the milk, said Nello's grandfather. But Patrash didn't move. A few days later, Nello's grandfather became sick. So Nello and Patrash delivered milk together. Nello became 15 years old. I want to become a great artist like Rubens. He ran to the cathedral every day after delivering milk. I ran to the cathedral. Rubens's paintings were in the cathedral. But Nello couldn't see the paintings. He had to pay money to see them. He had no money. One day Nello went up the hill with Patrash. He met Alois there. Alois was Mr. Kojet's daughter. Mr. Kojet was a very rich. Alois, is it okay if I draw you really? I would love that. Alois answered. Nello started to draw Alois on a wooden board. Just then, Mr. Kojet came. Alois. What are you doing here? Mr. Kojet shouted at Nello, don't play with my daughter anymore. Nello sadly lowered his head. One day, Nello heard that there was a drawing competition. The winner could win a cash prize and a chance to learn how to draw. Patrash, I will enter the competition. Nello saved some money and bought paper to draw on. He drew every day. Patrash was with me all the time. Finally, the drawing was complete. I hope I win first prize. Nello prayed. Nello went to the cathedral, handed in his drawing. On his way back home, he found a doll on the street. Wow, it's beautiful. I should give it to Alois. Nello went to Alois's house. Alois, this is for you. Nello gave her the doll. That night, there was a fire in Mr. Kojet's mill. Fire. Fire. Fortunately, the fire was easily put out by the neighbors. It was you, wasn't it? Mr. Kojet shouted at Nello. Mr. Kojet said to the people, nobody should help the boy from now on. If anyone does, that person won't be able to do farm work on my land. People stopped ordering milk from Nello. Grandfather, I'm sorry. I can't buy you bread anymore. Nello held his sick grandfather's hand and cried. That night, my grandfather closed his eyes and never opened them again. Nello and Patrash held a funeral by themselves. The landlord came to Nello and said, Nello, if you can't pay the rent right now, get out. He took Nello and Patrash's cart and kicked them out. Christmas was near. Nello and Patrash were cold and hungry. They walked down the streets weekly. Oh, that's right, they announced the results of the drawing competition today. Nello ran to the cathedral. But he wasn't the winner. Crying, Nello walked down the snowy streets. Patrash found a wallet on the street. Their wallet had Mr. Kojet's name on it. This is Mr. Kojet's wallet. Let's return it to him. Nello went to Alois's house and gave the wallet to Mrs. Kojet. Thank you, Nello. Why don't come in? She said. No, I'm all right. But can you take care of Patrick? Nello disappeared into the darkness. Mr. Kojet heard about everything later. Nello brought my lost wallet. He was a good boy. I was wrong, Mr. Kojet regretted. Nello went inside the cathedral. Just then Petrache came to him. Petrache had run away from Aloys's house. Nello weakly hugged Patrick. Nello pulled down the cloth that covered huge painting. Oh! It's a great painting of Rubens. Hugging Patrick, Nello looked at the painting for a long time. Nello and Petrochet get colder. The next morning, Mr. Coges and the people found Nello and Petrache. Poor Nello. I'm sorry. Nello and Petrache were already dead.